When somebody ever come and say he beat hoes up, he do. He'll beat one of y'all hoes up. I mean, for talking shit about me. I ain't saying that he beat me up. You think I'm gonna be with a man that be beating me up?
Cassie is suing Diddy for $30 million, accusing him of rape, repeated physical abuse. The lawsuit alleges that throughout the span of their relationship, Cassie was abused and controlled, that Diddy used to ply her with drugs, repeatedly beat her to a savage degree, and force her to have sex with male prostitutes as he watched and recorded.
Your Cassie is suing rapper Diddy for allegedly abusing her while they were together. The action exposed Diddy for putting hands on Cassie, and also in her throughout their 11-time relationship. There is a lot of toxin then, because Cassie didn't hold back on any substantiation of how meddled up Diddy really is. But all the situation got indeed worse because Diddy's current honey, Young Miami, is also reportedly putting her support behind Cassie, and she's now exposing Diddy for also putting hands on her as well. Here, it looks like Diddy is going to jail because these two women are determined to take him down formally and for all.
In the beginning, like the first 3.5 years, he was, the first 3-4 months, he was really nice, but then after that, he started being an asshole. So like I say, like the first 3.5 years, he was like mean to me.
So when you say mean, describe it.
He was like always belittling me and always like, he was like mentally, emotionally, and physically me.
So it looks like Diddy's downfall is about to be, and it looks like it's going to be in a big way, because he's being exposed for all feathers of stuff. He still has that whole situation with Tupac's murder going on, and Thingamabob and Cassie just sued him in court, criminating him of deviancing her when they were together. It's really bad. The court documents indeed have a detector warning on the frontal runner, and I suppose that is enough to tell you all how truly terrible the situation is. Now, people have always given Diddy's relationship with Cassie a side. Because of the huge power imbalance in the relationship. For one, Cassie was only 19 when Diddy was 37, and they first started dating. Plus, she was inked to his record marker, Bad Boy Records, so he'd a lot of control over her from the very launch. And according to several interposers, the relationship wasn't exactly collective because Cassie did not want to date him. But also she felt like she had to, because he held her career over her head and hovered to ruin her if she did not give in. And formally they started dating. Well, effects incontinently got poisonous because he'd put hands on her, torture her emotionally, and all feathers of violent effects. According to the action, Diddy was violent towards her for all 10 times that they were together, and the action also contended that he endeavored Miss Ventura in her own home after she tried to leave him, frequently punched, beat, demurred, and stumped on Miss Ventura, performing in bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and bleeding, forced Miss Ventura to engage in intimate acts with manly W.S. while getting off on it and re-photographing the hassle, demanded that Miss Ventura to carry his arm in her bag, just to make her uncomfortable and demonstrate how dangerous he is. Ventura to a life of inordinate alcohol and substance abuse, and needed her to land lawless conventions to satisfy his own dependencies. Indeed, that's a lot. We knew that Diddy was bad, but we did not know how bad it was. It gets indeed worse because the action went on to reveal that Diddy would frequently put his hands on Cassie in front of other people, and that these beatings were witnessed by our comms staff and workers of Bad Boy Entertainment and Mr. Flame's affiliated businesses, but no bonin dared to speak up against their shocking and ferocious master. Cassie also revealed that Diddy started pursuing her nearly incontinently indeed, though she was in a relationship at the time, and he was also with Kim Porter. She claims that he spooked off her swain at the time, and enough much forced her into a relationship against her will. The action went on to claim that Diddy frequently left her with bruises and injuries on her face and body, and that he'd also rain her with gifts and take her to the hostel where she could heal and recover, only for him to turn around and do the same thing each over again. And every time she tried to leave him, he'd set people up against her to look for her. He indeed had people from the marker advising her about how Diddy would ruin her career if she did not get back to him. She also reported that when she allowed that she was eventually free of him, she agreed to meet up with him for regale, but also he forced his way into her apartment answer. Indeed, though she constantly said no, the action also revealed how Diddy tricked her into using medicines and how he'd manipulate her into using them. Indeed, after she constantly told him that she was uncomfortable using them, it also reports that he was hooked to pain capsules, and when his force ran out, he forced her to get him the pain capsules. Now, if that was not bad enough, she also claimed that he forced her to move out of her apartment, inlay into an apartment that he rented for her because it was close to his house. He also rented her a house in Manhattan. His control over her life was so deep he'd access to her medical records when she did not indeed have access. The court documents said on multiple occasions, Mr. Combs Hadams, Ventura's particular medical records transferred directly to his dispatch address. For case MOS, Ventura began passing memory loss, potentially due to inordinate medicine use and/or head injuries, Combs beatings, as described below. Her MRI results were handed directly to Combs. The action went on to list several occasions where he put his hands on her, like the time they were on their way home after attending a party with Jay-Z. Mr. Combs beatings. Ventura constantly in an escalade, including by remonstrating and hitting her. He forced her out of the vehicle on 5th Avenue in New York City. She was ultimately suitable to hail a hack and get to her apartment in Manhattan. There is also the time when Cassie spoke to a music director in expedience of her incubating her career. It was just a casual discussion in the club, but Diddy got so frenetic that when they left the club, Combs beat him. Ventura, pushing her into a corner of the vehicle and stumping on her face. When the auto arrived at Aura, Combs' Hearthstone MS, Ventura tried to run down. But more, Combs followed her and progressed to again protest her. Ventura was bleeding profusely and was steered into Combs' home, where she began to throw up from the incident. She also revealed that he forced her to have hassles that he refers to as freak. Principally, he'd make her hire blackmail escorts with BBCs, if you know what I mean. He'd also force her to get high and be intimate with the escorts, while he watched and got off on watching her with the men. He'd also call Cassie anytime he felt like it, and formally he forced her to leave in the middle of a birthday party he threw for her. According to the action, Mr. Combs always supplied Ventura with riotous quantities of medicines ahead and during the fast. Ventura was given ecstasy, cocaine, dope, amphetamine, marijuana, and alcohol in inordinate quantities during fasts, which allowed her to separate during these terrible hassles. It came so commonplace to get IV fluids in the days after info to recover from the inordinate substances pushed upon her. Indeed worse, Diddy would retake Cassie while she was performing these acts, and he held the vids over her head for a long time. Indeed, though, she managed to cancel the vids. He always had provisory clones, and he'd managed to recover the vids. She also claimed that he forced her to watch the vids on multiple occasions so that she knew he'd total control over her life, and there was no way out for her. But it gets indeed worse because she also revealed how Diddy tried to kid Sprat QD. According to the action, Diddy and Cassie had resolved up in 2011, and she started dating QD. Diddy also forced her into another foe where he set up textbooks and emails between her and QD. Diddy got so frenetic that he told Cassie that he was going to hurt QD. The court documents wrote that Combs told Miss Ventura that he was going to blow up Sprat QD's auto and that he wanted to ensure that Kid QD was home with his musketeers when it happened. Around that time, Sprat QD's auto exploded in his driveway. He indeed put hands on one of her musketeers formally because the friend tried to step in, while Diddy was putting hands on Cassie while the friend was there. Diddy ultimately paid the friend off, but it led to a simulated relationship between her and Cassie because Cassie did not leave Diddy. The final straw for her happened in 2018 when he forced his way into her apartment and her, indeed, though she reportedly told him no. She eventually took way to get down from him for good, moving out of the house, getting ready for her, returning the buses, and stuff like that. The action went on to say that Cassie got hooked and addicted to substances during her time with Diddy, and indeed after that, she had to turn to substances to get relief of the terrible recollections. She also had to go through months of ferocious remedy to heal and move past the horror. This is all so sad, and it just breaks my heart that Cassie had to go through all that trauma. He indeed had the guts to make a apparently cute post for her when they broke up in 2018. He posted a screenshot of Michael Jackson's song The Lady of My Life and identified it. If anyone sees Cassie this weekend, please tell her to hear to this song 100 times. It's the audacity for me. Like, that is crazy. But the table we're filling in all this is there have been people steady speaking out about Diddy and his shady conditioning. About a time ago, Jaguar Wright had an interview where she contended that Diddy was futurity people close to him, especially those in Uptown Records. Uptown Records started with 5 people.
Uptown Records started with 5 Andre Harrell, Albie Shore, Heavy D, and Puffy, and Kim. Heavy D was found dead, face down in the heart attack. Andre Harrell, heart attack. Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first core.
But that is not each, because his longtime side piece, Gina Hugan, has also spoken out about how Dita used to put hands on her when they were together. In the morning, like the first 3 months, 4 months, he was really
In the
nice.
beginning, like the first 3.5 years, he was, like the first 4 months, he was really nice. But then after that, he started being an asshole. So like I say, like the first 3.5 years, he was like mean to me.
So when you say mean, describe it.
He was like always belittling me and always like, he was like mentally, emotionally, and physically me.
Well, it looks like effects are about to get worse for Diddy now, because his current girl, Youthful Miami, is allegedly said to bad Cassie, and also exposed how Diddy has been manhandling her as well. And Bigwig claimed that Miami has allegedly been in contact with Cassie, and she's prepared to swear against Diddy in the trial. While Miami clearly is not stalwart enough to file her own action against Diddy just yet, she wants to help in any way that she can, because she's also trapped as a biddies. According to sources, all know how Diddy lavishes her with gifts and flowers and all that stuff, right? Well, it's all veritably analogous to Cassie, because he bought her gifts whenever he put hands on her, but also he turned around and did it each over again. So while we've each been clowning Miami for not wanting to let go of Diddy, it turns out that she might also be a bee who is trapped in that horrible cycle. But Diddy has released a statement from his attorneys denying these allegations vehemently, and they have all wrote, he vehemently denies these obnoxious and outrageous allegations. Miss Ventura's demander, $30 million under the trouble of writing a dangerous book about their relationship, was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail, despite withdrawing her original trouble. Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a action riddled with unwarranted and outrageous falsehoods aiming to blemish me, Combs' character, and seeking a payday. To say that all this news is shocking would be an understatement, and people have come out to express their nausea and opinions. And they have left commentary saying just read Cassie's action against Diddy and Gel is not enough. The effects he did to her for over 10 times as sick, over 30, and forced himself on her from 19. It breaks my heart to hear all she went through, and everyone around just saw it passing and said nothing.